Good afternoon on what is yet another very warm, bright and sunny day. It is Friday the 11th of July. I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea and a bag packed with lots of things that I brought back from Free RPG Day 2025, which this year took place on Saturday the 21st of June. Yes, Midsummer's Day. So let's take another item out of this bag and have a look at it, see what I think of it. And today, let's grab that. What I'm going to look at is a great offering, which is an Obojima adventure. It's published by 1985 Games, a company best known for its map sets that support fantasy games and certain campaigns for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, as well as its dice. Now, the Obojima setting is quite a bit different from traditional Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition settings. It's set during the 1980s on an island off Japan, but mixes in Japanese folklore with the modernism of that period. The aim there essentially is sort of like a mixture of urban fantasy and folk fantasy, if you will. But the style and tone is one of whimsy rather than deep, dark, dangerous threats. It's what it calls lo-fi fantasy. So, a great offering. After hiking to Mount Abora, the adventurers reach the remote village of Dorin, where a desperate family begs them for help. Their sacred heirloom was stolen by a gang of harpies who are known to roost in the cliffs. Without it, the family cannot complete their pilgrimage to the Ledge of Offering, a site to Jamaga, the Sky Serpent. Recovering the heirloom from the harpies' clutches is only the beginning. The climb to the ledge is treacherous, and the villagers offers guides, but not all can be trusted. Some will lead true, while others may deliver them into peril or the jaws of Jamaga itself. No matter the guide, the Sky Serpent watches all who enter its domain. The adventurers must be cunning, choosing their allies wisely, lest they become another tale lost to Abora's howling winds. Obojima, Tales from the Tall Grass, is a 350-page campaign setting for D&D. Guide your players through breathtaking locations, encounter strange spirits, discover rare oddities, and battle wild and wondrous creatures. Create your own unforgettable narrative in this new yet familiar world with an all-new collection of curious items, magical spells, and numerous player options. Cozy leisure fantasy meets D&D. Curious spirits and quirky islanders live side by side on a whimsical, mysterious island of Obojima. Lose yourself alongside your players as you travel the breathtaking island filled with giant flying beasts, witch covens, strange trinkets, flying contraptions, unruly magic, and more. Now, this then is a setting which, if you have a look at the artwork there, and you can see the harpies, and there's sort of like there's Jamaga at the background, the Sky Serpent, and climbing up Mount Doran, Mount Abora. You have the harpies themselves, and they're wearing t-shirts and shorts. Essentially, they're teenagers. So you kind of get the feel that this is not ordinary fantasy. It's very modern, but also a little bit ancient as well. It's that nice kind of contrast of the mix of the old and the new. And the artwork, looking at this, is really fantastic. But I'll show you more of that in a moment. So we start off with, we've got an introduction and list of contents, and also essentially the player introductions, essentially the character introduction, what happens when they arrive in the village of Dorin, description of Dorin there, and then a desperate plea from the family to recover their lost artifacts, their stolen heirloom. And we've got notes there on Dorin plate, which is actually, it's a naturally occurring stone used for various things, but it's also quite good in making potions. So there's the dilemma explained here. What's going to happen to this family? They've lost their father. They want good fortune. They have an heirloom. If they leave it at their leisure offerings, perhaps it will happen, and Jamaga will look kindly upon them. So you've got details of the heirloom there. Essentially, it's a necklace with some dragon fangs. And the options for the player characters include helping the kids, going and meeting their mother, heading straight into Doran and get some information. But the first problem they've got to overcome once they've decided what to do next is overcome the harpies. And then there you can see essentially the artwork is very anime-esque. It echoes a certain style. I would suggest, say, Studio Ghibli. Think of Spirited Away or My Neighbor Totoro as sort of like the look of this. So this here describes how they can get to meet the harpies, go up to their lair, sneak up, confront them, but kind of like, you know, so they're teenagers, so they can be kind of intimidated, pretty much like all bullies can, in order to step down, and basically they run off and, you know, basically they don't want a confrontation if they can avoid it. Although they'd sort of like, you know, they will sort of like tell them about Big Bonnie, their boss. So, you know, later in the scenario, the player characters are going to meet Big Bonnie somehow. So, of course, the next thing to do is, once they've actually got the family heirloom, they then can make the ascent to the Ledge of Offering, up Mount Abora, journey to the Ledge of Offering there. So got the details of what it entails, whether or not they might encounter the Sky Salamander. Go with or without a guide. There's options there. And I've got a couple of guides here who will help and are available for hire. So those are the rock winders. The rock winders are essentially the name the village gives to the people who know their way up the mountain. You've got a table of encounters for things that might happen on the journey. Things like, okay, a young chatty goat spirit named Buttercup, who rarely uses her indoor voice, begins to follow the party. This creates consternation with the guide, who says Buttercup's incessant bleating will no doubt lure the Sky Salamander to investigate. So you've got the fun there of sort of like, you know, a goat spirit being very annoying but engaging. Also, Spirit Swarm is swarmed by a flock of small chicken-like spirits that are very excited about the party and peep loudly with curious delight. That's so utterly silly, but it gets across sort of like the low-fi nature of the fantasy. But there's other things here. They might actually encounter Jumanji at this point, or get caught up in a storm, run into a thief, and so on, that will essentially all make their ascent of Mount Abora more interesting and potentially more difficult. Eventually they'll arrive at the ledge, and there you've got all of the items that have already been left on the ledge, which gives you the players a bit of a dilemma. You know, they can choose whether or not to leave the heirloom there, or to make off with one or more of the items there, and they're all listed here. That's of course not without its downsides, but once they're up there, they'll have a showdown with Big Bonnie, the threat, boss of the harpies, and the adventure will come to a close. So we've got stats here for both the harpies, the harpy bullies, and Big Bonnie. And that brings the adventure to a close. Essentially, you can probably play that in a single session. And let's have a look. It's designed for 2 to 4 third level characters. So it's quite nice. You can play that with a couple of characters, a couple of players or more. Welcome to Obojima. This gives you a nice overview of what the setting is like. And you've got sort of like older style, classic Japanese style buildings, but with modern appliances outside, and then the weirdness of having sort of like a frog-like character running towards you there. And it describes itself as leisure fantasy. So what's leisure fantasy? Leisure fantasy is less intense, stop and smell the roses approach to playing an RPG. Whilst the setting of Obojima allows for a traditional D&D experience, complete with dungeon delving, fighting monsters, and getting piles of loot, the genre of Obojima is more of a fairy tale where adventurers try to solve interactions with mysterious creatures rather than slay them. And then over the page, you've got what's new in Obojima. What does this add to a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, if that's what you want? So that's all nice and complete. Now, obviously, it doesn't come with some pre-generated characters, which is a little disappointing because you want to kind of get a feel for what the player character is going to be like in this setting. But apart from that, I'm really kind of impressed by the feel of this, by the look of it. The artwork is fantastic. It's a nice, gentle story, engaging, and actually quite charming. Anyway, that's a great offering, an Obojima adventure from 1985 Games. I do hope you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you did, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with typically a box, but in this case, a bag full of free RPG Day goodness, which I will day by day unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge and ability for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice cup of tea. And that was Herc just come over the fence. Then please, of course, click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. There will be a link down below to a full review of this module. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.